Welcome, everyone, to the simulation frequency. On today's episode, I'm going to be doing a reaction to, I think it was like five gentlemen. They did an episode about anti-psychonaut, and I thought a lot of the points they made were excellent. I enjoyed all of them. So I'm going to react to it. I'm going to put them on like probably 2 times speed, so bear with me. I'll probably do most of the talking, but I want a lot of their points to be made because every single one of them had fantastic points. The original channel that I did view this from was a gentleman by the name of Richard Rausch. He has a lot of interesting stuff on YouTube, and I follow him and sometimes check out his things. I think they're interesting. And this one in specific, I just really wanted to cover. And before I get into covering all that, I want to just talk to you a little bit about who I am and what I'm doing, talking about these subjects at large. So I've had a channel for a little bit now, and I have had extreme experience with LSD when I was younger. So I do know the benefits of doing this insofar as like expanding your consciousness, but that's a whole thing that we're going to get into while we talk about the things with these gentlemen cover. I'm also somebody who is not trying to push you anything on this channel. I'm not trying to sell you any kind of course. The channel is for really hobby purposes. If it took off, that would be phenomenal. I'd really love for that to happen, but I'm not trying to tell you to purchase anything of mine. Of course, I have a few things, but I'm not ever going to ask you to continuously purchase or subscribe to any types of memberships. You can do so at your free will. I have worked for my money outside of YouTube my entire career. You can check out my LinkedIn if you're that interested. I have earned all my own money through my own mechanisms and modalities. I've invested in my own money. I have made my own real estate moves using a lot of these principles that I talk about on my channel. So I'm not here to push anything. I'm just here to expand consciousness at this point. I find it really fun. I have so many other YouTube channels that I could make money from if that's really what I'm looking to do right now. I am technically trying to dive into trading, and I really want to master that skill so I can start to earn money through that modality and master that specific area and not have to think about procuring money from social media at all, because I would have procured such a phenomenal skill that could be used at any time, at any place, in like any market, whatever, if you figure this out, if you understand patterns. So that's just one avenue that I'm looking at right now. But I'm also not one of these like spiritual hippie kind of people. I am like a tinge, because obviously I talk about like a lot of crazy concepts on my channel, but you're not going to hear me say like, oh, love and life and Mother Gaia, and I am, I'm not like that kind of person, and I like those types of people. I follow lots of them. I think that they're really fascinating in their own right, and I love that they have that type of personality to share with the world, because I think it's really important to have that like nurturing mother. And some of it becomes like really hippy dippy, where like people are talking about like Arcturians, and they're talking about that they can channel things for you, or that they can do all kinds of like mystical things for you. I don't claim to be doing any of that kind of thing on this channel. I am a conspiracy theorist. I believe in the simulation theory. I believe we're living in a simulation. What type of simulation specifically, I'm not sure, but I know it's constructed obviously of our biological systems, that I do think they are at play, but I think it's just a larger system at play, if you will. Like, this is the simulation, the biological system is the simulation that our consciousness is streamed into. The avatar from the Godhead, if you will, the ultimate consciousness. So if you go back to the root of it all, in my belief, it all comes from mind. This is not a technically tangible universe in the sense that a lot of these things are illusory in nature. If you look at quantum physics, things break down to basically nothing when you hone in on them at a quantum level. And they recently have been discovering that they have noticed larger quantum events happening now. I think it was with a sodium molecule. I want to cover it, which that is so fascinating to me now that we're being able to look at these quantum things that were so spooky, and we're kind of making them more mainstream now, and we're seeing that we can see a little bit of the larger things, even though it's so absolutely tiny, like sodium. We'll have to go in a deep dive on that because I found that to be extremely fascinating. But getting back into this and who I am here, I like to explore consciousness. I like to go deep within these concepts, and I also think deeply about other things, and I try to tie everything back. I always say, like, there's nothing out here that I probably couldn't tie back to something that I'm talking about, like some sort of theory that's connected to like this theory of everything, if you will. Tom Campbell's not like exactly like his, but he has that type of consensus where he has a theory of how everything works. I do as well. It is pretty unique to myself because I have a few things that I think not a lot of people really speak on or touch upon at all. It makes my angle my own kind of unique angle, if you will, but I think that this is all one big cosmic game. It is here for experience. If you see my tattoos, like this one is the Cheshire Cat, and it says we're all mad here. And I do truly believe that. Everybody thinks that they have some sort of explanation for something and that they're right and that they know the answer, or that science proves to them something, or this, that, and the third. And I'm not this hippy-dippy person that's going to negate science, because I love science, and I'm also somebody that could be considered a pseudoscientist. I love all of this, but I also can't take it too seriously. It does make me laugh, especially when I see some of these heated arguments that we're getting involved in, because at the end of the day, for me, it is truly about the essence of discovering the higher consciousness of it all, what truly is underneath, and how we can learn from it. So that is the point of my channel, and sorry about all of the giggling. I've noticed that like people that think that they're like highly enlightened have this like giggle to them that they all have, and I'm kind of like creating my own, and I don't mean to. I really don't, but when I talk about these topics, they start to become funny because do I sound absurd to people? Do you think I'm mad because I think you're just as mad as I am then? And then I also have this other tattoo that would specifically kind of explain a lot of the things I think a lot of people feel, and it's from a Fleetwood Mac song. It is, I keep my visions to myself. I know that we all have visions, and we just keep those to ourselves. And I think the more that people start to talking about their visions or how they may have experienced some of this alternate, creepier side of life, you could potentially start to experience more of it, because you are allowing your neurons and your actual neurology to start to make those connections for you and maneuver that way within the sim. That's how I think, at least. I am not pressing anybody else to think this way, and
actually covering it the other way. So I guess maybe we'll start with Richard. I guess what was it that made you kind of like think about bringing this to the table? You think it's like something that needs to be talked about nowadays?
so I don't know who a lot of these guys are. I only really know Richard. I think this guy is hysterical. I'm going to probably have to put a lay over this. This is really about the content of what they're saying, not about what they look like or what they're doing in this video, because the one gentleman, I'm pretty sure I don't know if he is puffing on a doobie. He maybe, and that kills me. And the other gentleman, I think, so the one guy, his name is, I don't want to be disrespectful, his name is Cardinal Electric Head. And the other guy's name is Headless Giant. And the other person is Ethan Indigo. And then there's the gentleman that I follow, Richard Rausch. And then the American Esoteric. And I really liked what every single one of them really has to say. And I think that they are bringing this up because it's important that people don't go down this rabbit hole of like ingesting too many of these substances, because I think it can blow your mind out personally. And I've seen it happen to people, but we'll talk more about that in a bit.
See dead ends. And the ultimate dead end is the path with no effort, or the path with no obstacles. But psychedelics can be used for healing. There is a therapeutic benefit to these, to LSD, to
Yeah, and I think that they cover this a lot here too, where it's the therapeutic side of these different psychedelics, and I do believe in that as well. I believe they can have like medicinal purposes, especially if you're on like a journey and then you do this like a couple of times and then you go about your journey. And just up front, I don't personally, and I'm on the same kind of trajectory that they are, I don't personally believe that you should like blow your head out doing a ton of psychedelics, because I feel like a lot of these gentlemen we're mentioning, you can achieve these type of situations on your own. And I will, and I do want to talk about him, and I'll mention him now because he's probably the one that I heard a lot of things from insofar as how many quote unquote trips he's done. And there's this gentleman called Leo Gura. Now, when you see Leo, I love Leo. This is no tea, no shade to Leo, because I love everybody equally. Like, this is just like an observation that I've made of him. He just seems so like with it and gets it all. And he goes on these long diatribes for like 2 and 3 hours on his channel explaining every single component of every single possible thing that you could potentially think of. Although what's funny is that I don't think he's ever covered simulation theory, and that freaking kills me, because I remember maybe like 8 years ago on his channel asking him what he thought about where we were before we were born. Where are we? What are we doing? Where's the consciousness? Like, what is that? What could that be? And I think he had said something like he would cover it. I can't remember if he ever did, but needless to say, my man, Pots and Pans, I'm pretty sure has done a significant amount of psychedelics. So much so where he was doing like multiple times in a week or something. I thought I heard. This is all allegedly. I'm not trying to claim this or whatever. I'm pretty sure I heard all this on his channel. It probably could be found in the archives of you going through videos. And the thing is with Leo, his videos are so freaking long that you would need to have the tenacity, if you will, to sit through them and realize these things that he's saying. And he had done DMT so many times. I mean, he talked about all the entities, he covered all that stuff. And I watched that stuff years ago, like when he first started speaking on these topics. And I looked at it because even before he was talking about those topics, when I told you in the beginning, when I was extremely young, I was 14, I ingested a heroic dose of LSD, and it rocked my socks off, and I saw things that you would never ever see. I experienced things and it's not like mushrooms. Mushrooms are a much lighter type of situation. I've never done any of them other type of medicinal things like ayahuasca and all that, because I have a weak stomach. And after my experience with the LSD, it was so insane that I never had any desire to really experience that much ever again. Maybe a couple of other times in my life I was like, yo, maybe I should do this again to like open my third eye further. But when I really sat with myself, I was like, do I really need to do that though? I've heard so many different trip reports at this point, And I've heard of old entities. And at this point, I've had so many strange lucid dreams. I've had so many strange interactions in the hypnagogic state. I've had so many weird daydreams, if you will. I've had so many different experiences with other people from the other side coming to me, if you will. And I was like also trying to convey that while I sound like a nut, like a crazy person, I can be extremely grounded and listen to things and say, yeah, you know what, you're right. And it does sound logical, but there's something innately in me that is moving me towards believing this thing. But what you're saying also makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. And I'm not trying to claim that what I'm saying might not sound like nuts to people. Like, okay, you sound like a nut, bitch, but you're grounded in reality to where I'm not going to be like harassing people about it. I'm not forcing you to believe how I think. I don't want to start a cult. If anything, question everything I say. Take away only what benefits you, because that's only really what I'm doing here, is trying to put out information to benefit people. And I know you can put out information and it could be like considered disinformation, or you're putting out information that could hinder or hurt somebody. And I'm really not trying to do that. What I'm trying to do is teach you to use discernment and to use these experiments for yourself. Don't just go thinking and blindly following anybody. You need to go within. That's why people keep saying this stuff over and over again. And when you turn to psychedelics too much, I think you are turning to, like, again, an outside substance to try to show you or pull down the veil of reality, where I don't think you even need that. Listen, you don't even need this stuff on my channel. Like, for example, I believe you can achieve these things through, like, a lot of, they're going to talk about it here, through like heavy breathing techniques, through different ASMR and meditations. I have lots of them at this point on my channel, because I truly believe that you can have these out of world experiences through other mechanisms and modalities. People achieve this through lucid dreaming, through the hypnagogic state. There's so many different ways that you can achieve meeting these creatures. A lot of these people that meet these Arturians are not doing anything. They're literally channeling, or they're like going under like a quantum hypnosis or whatever, and they're pulling these entities out of the whatever, the ethers or whatever. And half the time, it's like, do you know if they're real or not? Is this just one big imagination of God, and you're just plugging the strings of that specific imaginatory state of God to bring that into existence for yourself? Because I do also believe everything is already in existence. It's just us trying to shift into that specific reality. I do believe in multi-world theory, things of this nature, where everything's kind of like a copy of a copy of a copy. We're all patterns, if you will. And I think that's why these psychedelics work so well, because it taps into that. Like, I've made this joke before, and this goes back to certain other individuals in this area. Do we come from mushrooms? Is mushrooms in our anatomy like millions from, I don't know, so many years ago? I have no idea, but it sure enough feels like it sometimes. And there's other pioneers in this area. I think that there's a lot of things to be looked at here, and it would be interesting if you could do more scientific experiments while kind of under that state of hypnosis, or like under the state of like, what would it be if you are in a psychedelic state, and while you're in that psychedelic state conducting the experiment. I know that sounds really weird and trippy, and I don't want to promote that at all. Like, I don't want to promote using these things, but like, could there be a safe amount, or like, is there this point where you could microdose and conduct experiments? Like, I don't know if they're doing things of this nature, because could it be that it's lifting a veil for you and you're able to see other things? But using this with parameters, with caution, not just going in and being like this 70s hippy dippy party where you're just doing this every every day. Like, this is extremely under this scientific umbrella or purview, not like this party where people are going nuts and doing whatever they want. Because the issue here is, and we do talk about it later, is you can go crazy.
DMT2, ayahuasca, whatever. There is certainly therapeutic benefits to them, but healing is not the same as regeneration. Creating a new organ or regrowing an arm is very different.
I agree with what he's saying here.
And so, if healing, if you have a baseline number 0 and you come sick, you go minus 10, minus 20, healing brings you back to 0. I'm not interested in that. What takes you beyond 0? What takes you to plus 10? Psychedelic, and they don't form a super big dogmatic opinion about it. But the issue is sort of always with this kind of dogmatism and whatnot. So you'll get a lot of people that, they'll have their psychedelic experience, but they won't have any kind of natural experience that sort of equates to that. And then it's really easy.
Because of the fact that I had that when I was so young, I've had so many experiences outside of that. Like, so I meant to talk about this earlier. You can be at the ocean and be staring out into the waves with the sun coming down into the ocean. And I personally believe, so this would click off this feeling of oneness with the universe. So it's when you're standing in front of like a large body of water. That's why people always say, like, go in the water, ground in the water and in the sun. You stand and you gaze. So you're gazing into the water. And how many times have you done this? You gaze into the water, and while it's glistening from the sun, the flickers are actually causing that. And what I believe, this is a part of my other belief too, that when you and there's other people that believe this too, like, this is not just my belief, I'm just folding it into, you'll see I fold a lot of concepts into this because they match so beautifully. So you see the flickering of lights, and then that triggers that psychedelic state in your mind. Just like when you've seen people with that hypnotic flicker therapy, like, this exists. Like, there's a mask that puts flickering in your eyes. Like, I have one that does it with red light that works fantastic for lucid dreaming. There's an app, I've talked about it before, that flickering of light into your like area, into your eyes, even if your eyes are kind of closed, it does something in your mind, and it opens up this third eye to be able to show you this extended layer of reality. I feel like you feel like you're at one with the earth, that everything feels like warm and safe, and it's just like this beautiful experience that could we have just simply doing that. No anything needed other than you standing in front of a large body of water with the sun shining down, and you mesmerizing or hypnotically staring off into the water for an extended period of time. People do this, and I don't know if they know that they're doing this, but it's almost like you're clearing out your energy system too or something. Because the other day, I go to the beach all the time. This gentleman was just sitting in a beach chair, and I kid you not, he just was staring at the ocean for an hour straight. He didn't move. He didn't look at his cell phone. He didn't speak to anybody. He didn't get in the water. He did nothing. He literally just sat there and stared into the ocean for an hour straight, sitting upright. It was really interesting to watch, and it goes to prove that there's something cleansing about doing that as a human, in the sim or what have you, but you don't need these psychedelics to achieve these experiences.
This is what the mysteries were about. This is why people have religion, et cetera, et cetera. It becomes this blanket that you throw on everything. This is usually...
And that's easy to do, like throw a blanket, because I know when I had my experience, I was like, I understand everything now. Like, you start to feel like you understand the world or something because of how it puts you in like this oneness, and it makes you feel like this God body status to a certain degree. Some people it doesn't. Some people it gives them the opposite effect. And again, you can blow your shit out with this. I remember thinking back in the day, that whole situation where the dude was now I understand, because I'm like also, again, a conspiracy theorist. He was potentially pushed out of the room during, I think it was during one of those operations where they were testing all of these LSDs. I have episodes on my channel regarding that if you want to watch that after this, if you've never seen anything. But before, they would act as if that gentleman maybe took too much LSD or was given too much LSD and he didn't know it, and like threw himself out of the window. But I don't think that was the case. I think, the government knew that I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but
Ways an incorrect thing to do with any kind of conclusion is to just throw it out there as like this is the end all be all. So the big critique here is against like the psychedelic maximalists, the ones that you want to say it's all psychedelics. It must have originated from psychedelics. The only time you can see entities and communicate with these other intelligences is during these radical states of being on.
well, I mean, we know that to be false because there's so many people. There's people. What? There's people out here channeling all day entities. So there's no way that you can claim that it's only with this. I'm not gonna lie. I've said on my channel, like, I do feel you maybe might need to have like one experience like this, because, or like, I'm not saying, I don't even want to promote that at all. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't feel like you may fully understand it the way other people do if you don't have this experience, because it's like, it's so like crazy and mind-boggling that it's hard to like go back from. You cannot unsee this unseen, and then all of a sudden, especially if you follow this modality of thinking that I do, you have a lot of crazy experiences that happen to you 24/7. So it's hard to like not believe in this stuff, for at least for me.
Psychedelics, and that's just reductionary and dogmatic and everything else, and it's not the case. So a lot of
Love
times
that
you know,
everybody
certain
is
rites
puffing.
going around, especially the Eastern Mediterranean, in the ancient world, and a lot of the
I
actual
can't.
initiates of those mysteries wrote about them, and we have their extracts. Even though we've lost 99.9% of all ancient literature from all the languages, we still have these rich descriptions of the mysteries, and of course, being that they're mysteries, they're always vowed to secrecy to some degree. So they usually the initiates, as we see with Plutarch.
Yeah. And it's like, do you keep it secret so everybody's not out here doing this crazy stuff, taking advantage of it and doing it? But they are now. I think they talk about this later. Like, people are in the clubs doing all kinds of crazy stuff with this. And I don't believe that should really be the intention of this stuff. Like, they're really partying with it.
Even Herodotus, right? They'll come up to this point and then they'll say, "We can say no more," right? That's just Freemasons do that till this day. That's a common practice in these kind of initiatory.
But when you're young, you do crazy things, so it's hard to stop that type of behavior.
Right. But from the descriptions that we do have, for instance, the one I'm going to read at some
Oh
point
my
tonight,
God.
we get the ideas in and of themselves can lead to these radical experiences, even out of body experiences, and so on. And we have good, even modern institutions, let's say the Monroe Institute, and so
Yeah,
forth.
love the Monroe stuff.
Out of body experience training and this or that. So it's just.
I actually in the middle of creating my own type of tape like that. That isn't. I love Bob Monroe. Like, no, again, no tea, no shade. I really am not. I love everybody. But his voice, and I think I've said this before, the voice in his tapes, they bug me out for some reason. Like, it feels like I'm in like a Cold War experiment, and it's scary.
Objectively, the psychedelic maximalist argument is just incorrect in terms of the source material and the available scientific data that we have right now. So it's just kind of like, it just gets disappointing. I think
I just feel like sometimes the people that do too many psychedelics, they like and this is what I was talking about before with Leo, and I kind of got caught off track. You become like blown out or something. Like, I don't know if he's like on God body status. Like, he'll sit there like very like, I don't like, he like all knowing, and he's got his like his thing on. He wears like a before. I gotta stop laughing because I really love him. I would love to meet him. I do truly love him, but it's killing me and I can't. And I do love the look on him, but it's like, is this what happens when we become ascended? Because it feels like everybody does this. Like, it's not just him. And it's like, do I need to do that? And I know I've been like probably brainwashed to be like, oh, dress sexy. But at this point, I do it because I do know that it draws in attention. And I've made that extremely clear on plenty of my videos on my channel. And if I'm trying to get a point across, especially like let's discover higher consciousness together, and if it takes this to do it, and again, I don't want any of your money, and it's not like I'm like, hey, let's go to my this and that, to go this and that and give me this and that, I'm not trying to do that. It's really about figuring out. And then, like, one guy on my channel had told me do voiceovers instead, because then people won't pay attention to you. And it's like, okay, but at the same time, I don't always want to just do voiceovers. Like, that's not fun either. I want people to know that there's a personality here and that I can be like a ditzy goof, and that I'm not some, like, I don't have 55 rows of books behind me, because I feel like that's another thing to like prove. I have plenty of books, but like I don't want that much paper in my house. Like, it collects bugs and I just don't want it. And it's a lot of storage space for a lot of, and I don't want to ignore the sanctity of books, but in my opinion, that's what like libraries are for, and that's what audiobooks are for. So like, I'm not going to put 5,000 stacks of books behind me to prove that I'm knowledgeable. And more than likely, I look and sound like, I don't know, maybe like a younger person or something of this nature, especially because my background, I don't have like this background that is expensive looking, because I do believe too that's also like a level of flex, just like the physicality flex. But he now wears like a robe. Leo wears like a robe. So he used to wear like a black t-shirt and have a black background and just his bald head, and I loved it. Like, I really did love that look for him. It was just like everything. And now he wears like, and I don't care, I like it too. And he would come on and actually do these really cute looks where he would do like a costume from time to time, and I used to love when he did that. And I did fangirl over him, and now he wears like this robe, and it's funny, and I feel like he's like the ascended master Leo now. And I can't get over it. But I don't want to like necessarily be like that. I don't think I ever can. And I feel like there's comfort in that. I don't feel like I know all the answers, but because sometimes when you do that much DMT, you rewire your brain, and maybe he does know a lot more answers than we do because he did that. But at the same time, you could be rewiring your brain too much too quickly, system overload, and that's not what the intention of the sim is. So you want to just like make sure that you're not blowing your mind out and getting like a grandiose ego, or thinking that you know everything, or just because at the end of the day, it's all just like a cosmic understanding. And I know it's important for people to say that you need to find the truth and you need to understand your own truth, but everybody has their own truth. So trying to find the truth is difficult, and people's interpretation of things are much different. Like, you could have one scientist look at something and another scientist look at something, and they could interpret it completely differently. And I'm not trying to say that like science doesn't work or anything like that. Like, not at all. To the contrary, I'm huge into science. Like, it fascinates me, all the things that we've alchemized into matter, like out of thin air, really. If you think about it, everything's a frig out of thin air. We're literally in the sim, and we just pull shit out of the environment. So, like, when you think about it, how is it not all out of thin air to a certain degree? And it is something that at some point somebody had to think of. They have to go pull it out of somebody's in something in the sim and then create it. And then it's out for consumption. That's how we're literally sitting on the computer that we're at right now. And these things are fascinating. And you can't like ignore the magical or scientific side of all that.
Agrees with me here is that it's disappointing that people want to, corner everything to the psychedelics when there's so much easily accessible data out there that just says otherwise, right?
Yeah.
We need to talk about the dangers here, the set and setting. So apply all of these, standards of safety. But I can steel man the pro psychedelic argument. I can never religion.
Yeah, and we have to be careful with them. Like I said earlier, you can blow your shit out. Like, you're going, and I've seen people do this because I've been around the way. Like, I'm from Alany, Philadelphia. I grew up in what you would consider like semi-hood area, and at the end of the day, people have blown their minds out. I've heard of people getting hurt. I've heard of people like I've heard of people just doing crazy stuff because they've gone way too far down this chute, or like they're cracked. They're like cracked. I know this stuff is here, but I'm not walking around openly talking to people like a nut if they don't know me. Like, people on this channel, you can find me, you can see the history of what I've been talking about. It's a slow progression. I don't just walk up to people and talk to them like a crazy person, thinking that they're just going to completely understand what the hell I'm even talking about. There's some level of rationality and a ground levelness of this, because I can believe that somebody else may never see these things, or it's not possible, and I could be the crazy one, and I'm okay with that. But I'm not going to push my craziness onto anybody or act like other people are nuts because they don't believe what I believe in. I actually believe to the contrary. Anything that you believe in is fine for you, and that's your belief system, and that's what you believe in, and that's what works for you, and that's what's all good for you. And if that system is working for you and bringing you everything that you want to achieve in this lifetime, then so be it. You don't need to talk or look at anything related to my content, because I'm not trying to brainwash anybody into believing what I believe at all. Like, I'm just putting out information for people to consume, and you take away what you want.
It's like, we don't want a priest class regulating access to the other world. But the problem of that, then there becomes this kind of atheistic thing of, does that world even exist? And some people get it in their heads that the only way to kind of break the veil becomes psychedelics. It's almost like this latent materialism within psychedelics.
He brings such a great point, and it's not. And I'm guilty of saying things like on this nature too, because it feels like so many people that are so heavy in materialism and the Newtonian way of life, and the fact that it's like math and math. Okay, like, I know everything's math, but the thing is that there is this other side that, unless you start to investigate it, and there's not going to be these huge studies that do this. We would need to do like a big study on universal consciousness or something, and it would be like to have to be regulated, and people would have to have like all these things. Like, how can we do a study on the fact that, like, if I wanted $50,000 in my bank account, and I was like, I need 50,000 by this amount of by this day, and then I got 50,000 by this day? How do you do a study on that? Like, how is there if I say I want 150,000 profit on something, and I've like been thinking about it and that's what I want, and all of a sudden I get 150,000 profit on something. So many quote unquote what would be synchronicities, or for me it's like a pattern you can call out, and that comes true. It's just like there's patterns to things. And how do you test these things? You can't test this. You can't test the fact that I was thinking about a crystal Coach purse, and then all of a sudden somebody says, hey, I want a raffle and here's a crystal Coach purse for you. Like, you can't, that's not you. How do you test that? Literally, if I think of things, sometimes they'll pop up instantaneously, and it would not have been there the whole time. And then the minute I think of it, like, it happens for me all the time with shopping. And I think it's because I hold such strong assumptions about myself with shopping. I'll be like, oh, somebody will drop this cheaper. And then I'll look, and boom, within like minutes, somebody drops it. Or I'll even me selling things, I'll be like, oh, this is going to get sold, and it'll get sold for the price that I want. It's not verifiable experiments to anybody. It's all considered anecdotal. The LSD and all this stuff, it just drops the veil for what you know is possible. To continue to do it, for me, it's like, I feel like when you cross over, when like you go to when you die, you'll be seeing all that kind of stuff all day. So like, what are you rushing for it now?
The ghosts, the goblins, gods, angels, they don't really exist. They're just part of your mind, or you can only use it's something material. It's something external to myself that I put into my interior to change the interior thing. Whereas in the initiatic schools, there were always techniques, a technology, a system, an engine that's internal, that uses the internal to change the internal rather than getting an external force to change the external.
Yeah, I agree
So
with that.
and that's another
It's
reason why I
like
react against psychedelics and
the
psychedelics is because you
drugs
access
or
the underlying force to
external
change
things that you're taking to move
this thing that's
something
external.
internally.
I've even had, which I think is kind of funny. I think I've seen it said about Jesus and maybe other people that they were supposedly taking mushrooms and that's how they had their experience.
Yeah.
This guy kills me, this Cardinal Electric Head. He's really funny to me. Um, yeah, like it could be that those people back in
You know
the
what I'm
day
saying?
were
It's just like,
taking
oh, why
that
did you
stuff.
be like that? It's just like, what the, you can't even give that guy credit. So
My reaction against that is always, look, buddy. if it really was the be all and end all, the Bible wouldn't exist, the Tao Te Ching wouldn't exist, the Vedas.
Yeah, I agree. Because it's like this is just a component of it. But it can't be a forgotten component in my opinion, but it is a component of it, but it's not the end all be all. There's all these other things, like if that didn't exist, there could be other ways to achieve these experiences.
There would be no Buddha sutras because you wouldn't need teachings. There would just be stories of wise men going around popping mushrooms in people's mouths.
That's actually a
We
really
wouldn't have
funny
any sacred texts.
statement, and I love that.
Just be mushroom tea, different techniques for mushroom tea. And yet we have these sacred texts. We have
We would just be mushroom techniques and mushroom techniques. Sometimes I feel like it is. We're getting into Terrence McKenna territory here, where like everything is back to the mushrooms.
So we have manuals for how to meditate, for how to do prayer, for ceremonial magic. These technologies exist, so
Yeah.
they play even like more than a 15%, like 15% of a that's high in and of itself. So like it's lower than I think people think. But I do admire the effort of certain research, like P.D. Newman, for instance. I mean, he does great research to try to figure out where the psychedelics actually have their place, and like that is commendable. It really is. It's also indicative that we focus on the psychedelics so much is that we're not putting in the effort with all of these different practices. It's like Kriya yoga and
Yeah.
just do a little bit better research.
I agree. It's like, why are we turning immediately to these things instead of trying other mechanisms and modalities?
But like there are cool accounts that are clearly something psychedelic is going on that no one actually discusses. Like Michael Sellis in his On the Outrage, the pre-incarnate, two different things, and it's like you're not moving on the path. Oh, I dissolved my ego through it. It's like no. It's like it's the most basic thing, and then there's a greater work afterwards.
Yeah, like you don't need psychedelics to dissolve an ego. I'm not saying that it doesn't help or that it doesn't have you achieve that, but that's like a larger journey. That's not just going to happen in one instance.
And the Eleusinian Mysteries, it was a psychedelic thing, and like it hasn't been concluded that strongly yet. At the very best, a recent study done on the ergot and their whole mixture showed that there is a possibility that it produced a low grade LSD kind of effect. But it would have been a very small amount if it did that.
That's what I was talking about, doing the lights in your eyes. You can get these types of effects. Other technologies have the capability now. Like you could be listening to the ASMR stuff with the clicking. I swear there's certain like clicking noises that sends my brain. It like clicks my brain out of all kinds of things. Like I think that's why the Monroe Institute starts using certain like funky beeps and sounds. But I'm trying to hone in. There's certain like clicking patterns. I swear, I don't know if they talk about that there's clicking patterns, but I'm saying it right here, right now, that I believe that there's certain clicking patterns that we could be using in like that ASMR technology feel that like sets some shit off in your brain. And then when you combine it with the like light therapy in your eyes, that can give you a major tripped out freaking experience, and you don't need none of that stuff.
I think that's the state of that research right now. Is that there can be some extraction there, but it's extremely low dose.
It was very close to me that was very big into using these psychedelics. But unfortunately, I mean, it is what it is. The kids even listening to the show. When he was using the shit continuously, his life turned to shit.
Yeah, you can get whacked off of this. I'm not kidding. Like you will whack yourself out because some people get like a loss for life or something, because I don't know if like they blow out their dopamine centers and you start to look at everything in like this dull way because you're constantly in that God body state, and we're not meant to be doing that. You are not meant to be accessing outside of the code or the simulation all the time. That shit will blow your mind out. It will potentially rewire your brain or do something with the synapse or the connections. You need to be careful using this stuff because that, like, listen to him.
Divorced, moved on 100 times, all this. Like, so as like a magician who's supposed to be doing this stuff to have spiritual experiences and work on shadow work, you don't look like your head anyway, man. It's like things are getting worse. So just to me, it was just like, is the drugs the problem? I don't know. But again, just even perception.
Then like you're spending money on stuff, and then you're doing like illegal stuff too. So it adds in all this other layers. It's not just about you having these experiences over and over again and then like having a shit life from it. You have other potentialities out here in the real world in the sim where you could be caught by the law, and you could be all this and that and this and that if you go overboard. Like I'm pretty sure the one guy said he had a retreat and the dude tried running into a body of water.
Fuck you all up with that shit too. Your perception of reality. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, if I can jump in there, this goes back to another thing, which is just because something comes from beyond the veil doesn't mean it's at all intelligent or even that great. And so it's one of those things.
I agree with him.
I'm not one of those guys who says, "Oh, when you take psychedelics, it's all in your head." I actually think some of those experiences are very real and very
Yeah.
real. But
Yeah. I had that experience, you know. What I felt happened was very real. Like it was happening to me. I wasn't blasted off into like another universe. I was in this universe experiencing insane things right in front of my eyes. Like I could make couches. It was just crazy. I have multiple episodes on it. So, and I know what it feels like also to be blasted out in like, you know, certain dreams in like other worldly states. Like I've been in strange dream states with people. I've met people that have died in my dream states. So like I'm not claiming that I speak to entities and all this stuff all the time. Like I'm not claiming that I haven't heard or seen things like that happen to me like in my dreams, like weird things, but I'm not somebody that sits and like diaries out that I've spoken to this and that entity. I'm in communications with this, that, and this. That's not happening.
here's the thing. The difference when you take psychedelics, there's also a passivity in your essence. Whereas when you are engaged in the work, in initiatic workings, there's activity. Like, you know, you can take a drug and that will change your phenomenology, but you can overload yourself with anything. You can take alcohol and that will give you weird experiences as well. Like, I know people who kind of feel a separation when they take alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, anything that you over put into your body, you can have like a crazy effect from. Like, I think he said if you drink 20 cups of coffee, you'll get freaking whacked out.
Getting drunk, and it's like they can see this kind of dualism. And it's like if you take 100 cups of coffee,
Yeah.
you will also change your phenomenology. I guarantee you, you will experience a phenomenological difference of the world if you take 100 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, one of the points of spiritual work or experience, in my experience, as meeting people and talking to people, there's a lot of spiritual experience I've gained through practice, and work is very subtle. And the whole point is to kind of refine yourself. So it's like, I use the example of, you know, you get a gem like a topaz.
Yeah, like the one guy looked like he was agreeing with that. It's small, it's compounding interest, right? It's small actions or small revelations that compound over time that build this belief system within you that you suddenly have like this larger revelation. It's not like you suddenly just get this larger revelation and you're awakened for the rest of your life. Like that's not how, I mean, I don't know people that do that, and if they do, like I feel like that's a load of crap. Like you have to go within and you have to do a lot of meditation, or you have to do a lot of like what people would quote unquote call like soul searching, or sitting with yourself, or know thyself, or just research and knowledge and digging deep and going into these consciousness topics. Like, not to bring back Leo or whatever, but recently he put out a video about the dangers of not doing this kind of work and not going deep. Well, at the same time, there's the other edge where somebody could flow through life, not do any of this work, and just be blissfully unaware and happy and die and go on and be happy again. Like, who knows? We don't know. Of course, we can tell people to do one thing, that they should do this. There's dangers in not doing this. But there's always a case where somebody may or may not have done something and nothing happened. We live in an endless probability wave field. We're all waves of probability.
In your hand, and it's like you are trying to interact with that thing. You're trying to, that thing is speaking to you. Everything in the world is speaking.
Yeah.
It'll fall over. But if you have truth there to prop it up, the lie becomes actually quite reinforced. So when you mix truth with lie,
truth and lie, it's a fine line.
The biggest actually find the work, and you know he's doing well. He got some golden dawn stuff, and he's doing some things. But it's like that's what I see most of the time.
These guys puffing are killing me.
The megalomania test, they completely fumble and stumble, and it's like, I dissolved my ego. That's it, done, guys. LSD once, I'm done. One and done, baby.
I like how you said that though. Maybe meaning about it. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can't just, don't get me wrong, like I did feel like there was a lot of stuff that happened to me in that experience, which because it's a major thing. Like you go through it, it's insane. But so like I get why you get like that, and like I know what that feels like to be like, again, you're like, oh my God, my third eye is open. But and then you go back, and then what are they? There's been plenty of people that have quoted this where it's like you see these revelations, and then you got to go back to work or whatever. That's it. Hey, boss, I'm back. I was enlightened last weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I once had a festival on.
Listen, some people do turn around and like change their lives. Like they'll just quit their work
Let's just say
and
the
travel
various
to
people get
like
their hands
India or
on
some
these
shit.
substances, have all of these sort of unstressed conclusions about how sacred psychedelics are, and then they're around a bunch of gullible and naive people that don't really think critically about these things, and then they can actually do harm. I realize that this isn't happening like all the time everywhere with everyone uses psychedelics, but it does happen. Like one of my
Yeah.
good friends, was given by this total moron like a teeny vial of liquid LSD or whatever. He was just like,
Yeah, that's crazy.
The person who took it was just being too like, oh, I want to be one of the cool kids kind of thing.
I
Went
made,
to the woods,
I get
hit
it.
a
I
tree,
made
and like,
that we
I
made
mean,
mistakes
yes,
like that when we were kids.
it's
That's
me
the
how he rode
problem.
in the car with AC on him, like trying to get him good.
Luckily, that
Jumped in
kid
the pit
didn't do
behind
nothing
and you
dumb.
go into the pit, and like that's where you're gonna sit in the like the alchemists, they're obscuring their language so much that no one knows what's going on anymore. Like that kind of phase, I think, it has its place here or there. But in order to bring this stuff to the practical level, we have to talk about it openly, and we have to focus on these natural visionary experiences that underlie, I think, the origins of religious belief in the first place are actually those experiences, and they don't require psychedelics. If someone came across a pipe loaded with DMT in the ancient world, and they smoked it, would they come out of that with like some wild beliefs? Like, yeah, definitely, right?
Yeah,
But I think we're dealing
I
with
agree with that.
here.
That you need
I don't.
strong psychoactive substances to change your perception is actually completely off of the mark that you would want to, perpetuate.
About those processes, but it's like we know that holotropic breathing produces more nitric oxide in the brain. Okay, and
Yeah, you can do breathing techniques to have those insane experiences.
You don't need the balloons. You can do this in a different way that is healthier, right? And it
I
requires
think
effort.
people
So
were taking, like they were saying, people were taking nitrous oxide, and that's terrible.
taking something, right? So it's like the psychedelics are not going away. If anything, I think we're probably
We just need to be careful with them.
on a number of different levels.
It's going to get infiltrated by drugs from studies.
And then they were,
To say this isn't
I think they were talking about ayahuasca at one point, and they were saying that like people were guided to know how to cook that shit up. I still won't mess with that. That stuff, ooh, I would not want to vomit and then see like some insane creature. For what? I don't know why people find that like they're gonna think, I don't know, like there's certain, like I'd rather probably do like a heavy dose of, I don't know. It's like I'd rather get with this or rather get with that. Like I just don't know if I would want to throw up in numerous times. Like I feel like I'd be throwing up for days or something like that. I can't.
just another mode.
I mean, that could be another argument for or another division in the community: artificial or natural. Like if you truly want to be spiritual, just pure natural, baby. You gotta go natty. You can't not be natty. And then there's mushrooms and nothing. There's someone who wants that. They want transformation, and they do something to initiate that process. And the thing is, in this class, the experience, the perception, is an effect.
Yeah, because there's plenty of people that do stuff like this, and they're like, "This was insane, man," and they don't ever like do anything deeper with it. They're just like, "Yeah, I had this crazy experience. I think maybe there's God, man," and they just go about their business. Still, like they just don't care. Like it's nothing deeper.
The cause is you apply something. So it's like in the East, you do Kriya Yoga, you do this Hamsa exercise where you visualize, energy coming up the spine and into the forehead again. Broken people becoming normal is not initiation. Someone who's already kind of got it together.
What these people are saying is you can't abuse this shit thinking it's going to do all this crazy shit for you. It's going to open up your perception. It's going to make you see that there's this pattern and that you can work on these things. I'm not saying that things can't happen spontaneous, but I feel like it's something that you need to hold on to. This is like your belief system in general. You can't just walk around, think you're going to do this one thing and then go back to like having these belief systems where you think it's all like cringe or you don't believe in it or it's all trash or you need more science, like all these things, because it's not going to do anything for you. It's going to be like those retreats that people go to and they get all high off the supply of like the quote unquote energy there. Because a lot of these people that are selling you like these courses to go travel to places, like it does sound fly. I'm not going to lie. Like I would even maybe try one for fun. But if you're not in the mechanism and modality to take that and continue to run with it, or just use that as like a fun place, like you just want to go party or whatever, you're going to be at a loss thinking that this is going to take you and then like steer you off into your best life where you find the love of your life and you fall into your exact career, whatever that you wanted. Like all of a sudden, can this happen for certain people? Yes, but then there's also, what is it, survivorship bias? I've been hearing and thinking a lot about this. Just because you hear these certain things doesn't mean there isn't a set of people that have not gotten those same results, and we can't forget about those or pretend that they don't exist. I'm not here to do that. I think that's fraudulent behavior to do that, to just focus in on everything that is just positive, like, because that's not the case. There is the other sect of people that this is not working for.
Something even greater, going beyond human. That's what we're interested in. The ladder of being, vegetable, animal, human, and then something potentially beyond. We want to go beyond. We don't just want to be a human with an odd experience. Cause and effect. Permanent change, not temporary experience.
I've been thinking a lot about that too, like plant, vegetables, animals, humans, like sentience.
I like that. That was well said. I think that's why before I was like saying that sounds like party to me, because it just sounds like you're taking shit just to do it, and there was no reason why.
Yeah, like you're partying just to party. People do that all the time. They just don't care. They don't care. They're asleep or whatever. They don't care.
Kind of argument against psychedelic maximalism. And then you can kind of like, if you've never done anything, you haven't really gotten anywhere, there can be a kind of a copium for that. So they go into the literature, they do all this study, they get all this skin in the game because it's a kind of copium. No, it is good. I've been working this entire time. And then, of course, there's people behind them going, yes, tell the others. And it's all this. That's where it becomes.
I think that they were, maybe I skipped over too quickly, but I think they were talking about the fact that like we don't want to get crazy with this stuff too, because as a conspiracy theorist, is the government out to get us, man? Like we talked about those other things where could they be experimenting on us because they experimented on us in the past and it has been proven. And this stuff can make people go crazy, and you can't just think that it couldn't be a certain mass like quieting of people to give them a ton of this stuff, because you could go all delusional and go nuts with this shit too if you abuse it.
Conspiratorial. I can see that.
Well, and I think you guys already won the debate in a sense by putting forth the idea that it does have medical and or healing properties and uses for certain people, but the true Richard and Con, I think you guys summed it up essentially. There's no prescription for cities, right? It's more instructions towards meditation that you may gain such effects. Con, sorry.
Positives for psychedelics as well. Like, are there some people that I would be like, dude, I just want to shove a mushroom down your mouth just so you have some inkling that there's something beyond your ego that exists? Like, yes, there's people that.
I love that, because that's the feeling that I think I convey when I'm like, unless you've seen, because, and even mushrooms, I'm not even sure if that's enough for certain individuals. And I don't even want to put that out there, but it's just because, and here's the thing, and I've heard other people do other crazy things too. And like, I think they talked about it too. Like it can make certain hallucinogens can make you feel really tall and big and weird. And they do different things depending on your brain. It lives certain levels. And once certain people are so rigid in materialism, usually when they do this, it changes their worldview completely.
Do that with, but we can't do that. But yeah, so it's like, I think it can be a lot of sort of dogmatic and kind of sort of. I mean, I saw like reality unzip. And in one instance, there was like 50 different boxes of myself that I saw stumbling. And it was like a hologram of me just stumbling in a yard.
And I get those experiences now without any of this stuff. If you practice this in the hypnagogic state, and then I am a firm believer at this point, if this is what you want to experience, let's go past this now. I don't know if people have been talking about this, but if you start to continuously these experiences and experiment with them, have meditations around them, you will have more of these experiences flow into you easily. And simply to where you can have these things happen to you in the hypnagogic state. Like often in the hypnagogic state, I won't even be, I guess it would be considered out of body, but I'm not even myself. It's like, I'm not even me. I'm like a third person experiencer. Like I'm the observer over a situation. I have that happen so many times where I'm like, I'm not even me. I don't exist in this situation. Who were any of these people? I have no idea who any of these people are. And I'm just like observing the situation. I've had that happen plenty of times now. It's very trippy. I've had what he's talking about where you see all these boxes, like you have all these holographic, like what seems to be movie screens that are facading down, and I could see like all these different screens, and I couldn't really put my finger on exactly each one of them because there were so many that I was looking at, but like I could identify that I was doing something in this one, and I was guarding in this one, and I was seeing something in this one. It was like very trippy. And I've also talked about in the hypnagogic state, I was laying under a red light, and when I was in that state, I actually felt like what I saw was the code coming down. Again, in the hypnagogic state, I don't know what the hell it was. I'm not trying to claim that I'm Neo and I could see the code. I'm just saying that these are visions that I have had in the hypnagogic state, but it's also because I'm highly focused on this. I talk about this stuff a lot, and am I building my neurons to see that side? Am I starting to experience these stranger activities? Am I honing in? Am I focusing? Am I putting observation on? Am I getting into the flow state of? Am I putting consistency in this area to where my mental state expands and I start to experience more of these things? I don't know. Can you prove or unprove that that's not the case, that that could be happening? And that's why some people experience luck more than others. Some people are training their reticular activating system to see insane opportunities for themselves around all kinds of different things. That's why these insane situations exist where people are multi-millionaires and they're barely doing any work because it feels like they've figured something out. I don't know, but I'm not going to stop thinking about this stuff or trying, and then also trying in the real world, because I do lots of things in the real world. I am not just this person who is pie in the sky thinking. I have lots of real world channels where I investigate things like scams because I know they're out here. I have things where I am materialistic at times. I like to shop. I like to engage in childlike behavior occasionally. So I'm not just somebody who is trying to sit up here and convince you that my way is the right way and that my shit is God body. No, these are just expanded conversations that if you experiment with, hopefully you do. Let me know in the comments what has been happening for you. My money out of thin air has still been working for me in many ways. And I don't even kind of want to tell you guys what had been happening to me, because I feel like when you even introduce other observers on what you're doing on your, so if I'm the double split experiment, you're my observer. So if I'm having all these experiments and you're observing my experiments too closely before they happen, are you fucking with the trajectory of my experiments? So I've had a few of them, and I'm going to talk about them in the future. I've already talked about some of my other ones that have all gone exactly the way I've wanted them to. So I know this stuff in my world works.
Back to reality, hitting myself in the face, trying to wake up out of it, you know? So it's like, I mean, it can just...
But there's also probability. I'm not claiming that I win every time. I'm not like, yeah, I walk around here winning. I want to do an episode on all of my losses of like things that I tried to like quote unquote manifest, or tried to like switch into that reality and have not yet gotten there yet, or have not gotten, or like I've just given up on because I didn't get it. And I've, like, for example, one of them I can tell you right now for free, and it's so stupid, and it goes back to the dumb materialistic pre-programming, but I'm kind of glad I'm not going at this point, because it's like I would have just been contributing to like a bunch of consumerism, and I know it. But Ulta Beauty World had tickets, and they were having a event in Orlando, and I really wanted to go with my best friend. Like, we woke up early. I felt like a dumbass. We tried to get these tickets. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this. Like, I know I can get this. I know we're going to get this. We didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? And, no matter how God body I think I might be able to predict something, we did not get that. So I'm well aware that there's variables, but when you have like what I would say is like a 70-30 probability chance, I like those odds and I continue to take them every day.
From that, other than, don't do that anymore and hallucinations are possible, right? So it's like, there's only so much we can extract from it. Now, with the DMT...
You can create your own hallucinations, I think, if you just, like, sit in your room and stare at shit for long enough, you can start to hallucinate. I'm not even kidding.
I think those guys are going to get into the territory with psychedelics, and this is the IV drip of the DMT. They might get into a territory that is scientifically useful, and this is, let me qualify that. It's like, if they can encounter an entity in that space and say, here's a mathematical problem.
That's fly. Yeah, that's like another. Well, I mean, people have talked about just doing this. You can, like, Burt Goldman. This is giving very much so that you can not just go into an entity, and I should start to do this. I should start to play with this more, because I play with so many different things. I like love life and having fun and doing all these things. Do I get sad occasionally? Yeah, but I have so many ideas and fun with life that I'm always moving on to like the next thing. I have no time to kind of like be sad or whatever, because I'm down the next rabbit hole of consciousness. But like Burt Goldman, he could go into alternate versions of himself and maybe get the problem solved, or other people in realities that have passed on or whatever, or like he's saying, like other guides or entities, and he would go into them, I guess, like maybe in his lucid dreams, or like while he would do like those hypnotic trance like meditations, and then connect with like Einstein, be like, yo, Einstein, I got a fucking math problem. Let's write this down. I'm going to give you the math problem, and then Einstein's going to give me the answers to the math problem, and then I'm going to take the math problem back into the 3D here. Okay, so that's the type of thing he's talking about. And Bert said he did Bert was getting music. He could learn how to play instruments. He was learning how to paint. All the things, you know what I'm saying? You can go and visit all the peoples. You can go into any lifetime, or if you want to go and try to meet up with all lottery winners past and figure out their strategy, all traders past and figure out their strategy, all presidents past. You can meet with anybody and give them a problem, and they will return it back to you. Whether it's them or your subconscious working it out, who knows? Who cares? It's fun. I think it would be awesome. This is what I was talking about earlier. If you're going to experiment when you were under that state, could the scientists, like he's saying, go in with the thing and be talking to entities, or be doing other experiments under this type of purview? For example, like you could be, oh man, these are like trippy thoughts that I'm going to give you right now. But like, imagine if you're a scientist and you're in like a DMT stance or whatever state, and you are doing things with like animals, like say the animal comes back to life and tells you like why it died and like how to fix it, and like, a new type of medical something to cure that, whatever. Like, could that potentially happen? Like, could we get to that level to where you're doing DMT and we're doing like experiments in the medical field, and you can actually talk to a cell, and the cell tells you how to eradicate it, or I don't know, it's trippy, but like he said, you never know what territory you're getting into. Somebody could be giving you a lie. But again, this is why you have to experiment for yourself. All a self-exploratory game, and that's what we're here for, and that's what makes this fun.
He solves it and they bring it back or whatever. That's kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to let the entity do something that the person having the experience cannot do, so that they bring it back as like experiential proof of the objective existence of this entity.
Right.
That's the fascinating research that this stuff can.
That's what I'm talking about. Look, somebody said Terrence McKenna was a CIA agent. Did I just see that?
I really appreciate the way you guys presented all that.
Yeah, that was great. I'm going to wrap that up with them too because I'm already on here for quite a long time. I think over an hour, but I had really fun with that. They have no idea who I am. I just decided to jump in on their party and take part. So I hope you guys all enjoyed and picked up maybe some weird, cool information. Another way to look at the sim at large, to see that I believe that all of these things are possible, but it's not like this overnight get rich quick scheme. It is a game to be played just like any other game. And I think that if you look at it this way and you take these experiences that we were talking about, whether you're having psychedelic ones or not, there's something at play here that's going to lead you in the direction to where if you really want to experience something, you can achieve that experience, at least to the best of the ability to what the sim can do now or whatever. All from within you. It's all a part of mind. You are the simulation. I'm not trying to claim that the simulation is even something outside of you. If you just research everything, you will see how everything is just a pattern. Like even here, look, I'll show you specifically. This is a great way to show you on my arm. Do you guys see that? I have thin skin in certain areas, and these all look like highways and byways, or they look like, it looks like electricity strikes. Like I have electricity strikes going through my body if I stretch out. Like here you won't really see it, but if I pull and stretch and kind of give you a different type of light, you can see all of the electricity, if you will, running through my body. So it's all just a copy of a copy. You are the simulation. The simulation is you. We're all just pieces of one another. We're all just streams of consciousness from the Godhead, and we should all love each other as such and try to have the best experience that we can here. I know there's a lot of troublesome things going on, and I don't want to act like we should not be focusing also on making those things better, but focusing on how you can make them better in your specific way and not getting caught up in the grandiosity of it, because unfortunately we don't know what is illusion and we don't know what is truth separated from false. We don't know all of the details, so we have to maneuver this environment with the data that we do have and try to live to the best of our ability, yet trying to help one another also as much as we can. So I hope everybody enjoyed this video, and until the next time, guys, I know you are all going to continue to manifest magic and resonate on your most aligned frequency. All right, bye guys.